Well, today is exactly 1 month since the deadly Boksburg explosion. The community is still awaiting answers on what exactly happened and who's to blame for the tragedy that killed 41 people. Linda Mnisi joining us live from Boksburg now. Linda, good morning to you. I suppose many people and some of those that particularly would have seen the grim pictures, unfortunately circulated on the back of this tragic incident on Christmas Eve. Those images still very much in the minds of many people, particularly in that community.
Well, Xoli, the people in this community live on a daily basis with the distraction right at their doorstep to remind them of that deadly explosion. So they live with the trauma. I mean, if you listen to that interview that I did at 8 o'clock, the community leader there talking to us about the daily trauma that, residents have had to deal with over the past month. It's been a terribly difficult month, and many of the victims really not wanting to relive that moment. But you'll remember there's also conversations, especially around taking legal action around those who are responsible. And you'll remember the Premier of the province, Banyaza Lisufi, saying that the families can exercise their legal right to litigate against whoever's responsible. But at the moment we know that there are no findings of exactly what happened and who's to blame. I'm joined now by Vincent Smith. I'll start with Vincent Smith, who will talk to us about perhaps some of the, legal avenues that people are taking. You're one of the, legal representatives that are interested, very much interested in this case. You're from Vincent Smith Incorporated. Talk to us about what you have as a law firm at this very moment to pursue such a case.
Thank you, Linda. It's about responsibility and accountability. From our side, we're still busy with our own investigations, which includes a multitude of disciplines from engineering fields and others. Once those investigations are concluded, and only then will we have a better understanding of who to cite as defendants and as such move forward.
Mm-hmm. And one would think because, government and all the parties involved have not released that very same report, it would be very difficult to point at which direction to litigate again. So what at this moment do residents or the affected families have in order to explore and maybe to try and get justice?
Well, I suggest that they contact a legal representative and that they get in touch with us. And I also know that there is a planned class action, and that is something that they can also be part of in future.
All right, thank you so much. That's Vincent Smith from Vincent Smith Incorporated. I want to bring in Severin Crawford right now. He's a legal consultant, and you've been consulting in this particular area, consulting the affected families. What have you gathered so far around specifically the wish to litigate? Are many of them, do they have the appetite to really litigate?
This is an issue that is very sensitive and one needs to tread very carefully, and some do, some don't. And generally when you find that there is a family involved, that there's consultation amongst the family themselves, that there's a support structure for them to go forward and do this, because this is something that cannot be left at this point in time like it is. It is unacceptable.
And I mean, if you look at the help that they're getting, are you talking amongst yourselves as legal professionals to join together in this particular litigation? Vincent spoke about the appetite for a class action. Are you exploring those avenues?
We are indeed. However, we do find that there are a couple of, I hesitate to use the word rogue lawyers that one needs to be careful of. That is why I provide my services for free, that any members of families of survivors, victims are welcome to contact me for free, and I will consult with them to see that they are getting the right representation. And again, when they want to consult, you need to put them in the right direction. This is not something that can be taken lightly and can be, for argument's sake, get the wrong sort of representation.
In terms of the people that you've consulted with, where are they in terms of just their mental states? I mean, around this particular issue. Earlier on, off air, we were having a conversation around, the trauma that people have suffered. Talk to me about what you've experienced while consulting with these families.
Most of these families are highly traumatized, and where it would take on average of 45 minutes to consult, it can sometimes take up to 2 hours. I also have psychologists, psychiatrists on standby just in case, because I have experienced on multiple occasions where family members have had to leave the room, we've had to stop, they've had to calm themselves and gather themselves. So it is emotionally taxing, and that is also why I encourage them to bring their families into a consult, that they have the support, because the support, we're standing here today, we're a month down the line, where is certain members that promised their help?
And in terms of that specifically, are you getting more of them saying that, well, we were promised this is what we were promised, but it was never delivered to us?
Particularly in an interview I had yesterday, or a consult, I did have that, and unfortunately I cannot release those details as it is private and confidential. But yes, people are upset as to the response of certain parties as to the disaster. Now it's done, it's dusted, the pandering has stopped, so now what?
And do they have hope that one day this case will be resolved?
Well, I hope that I provide them the hope, that I will push forward and support them where they need the support in order to get this done.
And just before I let you go, gentlemen, I just want to come back to you, Vincent. I mean, have you been approached by some families? And with the information that you've gathered on the ground, what are they saying?
Well, I have been approached, but I can't divulge any comment on this at this stage. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Vincent Smith and Servant Crawford there, Oli, who are legal professionals on the ground, really trying to assist the families that have been affected by this deadly explosion. In fact, Servant speaks about how traumatized they are, even going through those consultations and the promises that were made. You'll remember, just immediately on the same day after this explosion happened, there was a briefing, and we were told about certain things that would be delivered to the affected families, but it seems some of them are yet to receive that kind of help. So at this very moment, it's still at its infant stage, and legal professionals can't tell whether or not they will litigate against government or the driver or the hiring company or the trucking company itself. So it seems things are still very much at an early stage.
Linda Mnisi, thank you very much for that comprehensive update.